Dr. O here. In this video, I want to walk you through the three types of muscle tissue. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, take a look here. What we're looking at is, on the top, we have skeletal muscle. Here in the middle, we have smooth muscle. And here on the bottom, we have cardiac muscle. I'm going to go to individual pages to show you some details here. So first, here we're looking at skeletal muscle. So there are three ways to classify each type of muscle tissue. So skeletal muscle is going to be voluntary, which tells us that we control it. You actually have to ask your elbow to move. Of course, there are reflexes, but it is a voluntary type of muscle. It has multiple nuclei. So not only is skeletal muscle the only type of voluntary muscle tissue we have, it's also the only one that has multiple nuclei. So you can see like right here down this row that an individual muscle fiber, an individual muscle cell can have tons of nuclei, these darker structures here. Now, a little bit of gray area there because that means really one muscle fiber, one muscle cell was dozens or hundreds of muscle stem cells that fuse together. That's why they have multiple nuclei, but muscles need to produce lots of proteins, need to transcribe and translate a lot of proteins, so that's why these skeletal muscles have multiple nuclei. So skeletal muscle is voluntary, multiple nuclei, and then striated. Now striated means that it has a banded appearance. When I think of the term striated, I think of structured. That means that this type of muscle tissue has a lot of structure to it. So you can see some good examples of the banding appearance here. So that is skeletal muscle. Voluntary, meaning you control it, multiple nuclei, so one muscle cell has multiple nuclei, and striated or banded appearance. Next we have the smooth muscle. So smooth muscle is going to be quite a bit different. Smooth muscle is involuntary, so you find smooth muscle in your hollow organs. So think blood vessels, GI tract, etc. So it's involuntary. You don't control it. You don't control the diameter of your blood vessels. You don't tell your stomach to churn up food. So involuntary. Single nucleus. So that means that each individual muscle cell has one nucleus, which is what most cells have. And here's what really separates smooth muscle from the other two types. This is the only one that is non-striated. So that means it has a lot less organized or a more loose appearance. So you don't see any banding or striations here. When I think of individual smooth muscle cells, I think of kind of like lips. They're just they call it a spindle shape, but they just have this kind of strange shape. It really is they just don't have a lot of organization. So they lay in near each other, and of course they work together, but they're just less organized than other types of muscle tissue. So that's your smooth muscle. Involuntary, single nucleus, and non-striated. That's the key for smooth muscle. And then lastly, we have cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle is involuntary. Of course, you don't tell your heart to beat every 0.8 seconds, give or take. That would be tedious, 3 billion times in your lifetime. So it's involuntary, also has a single nucleus like smooth muscle. But this one is striated again, so your heart muscle is much more organized than smooth muscle. You can see the striations kind of throughout here and over here if you look at this image. But there is a fourth term to talk about with cardiac muscle tissue. Cardiac muscle is going to have something called intercalated discs. So you can see why I don't write much. So intercalated discs, I apologize for that. So you can see them, let's see here. Here's a good one. There's some more down here. But intercalated discs, what they do is they actually electrically connect all heart muscle cells. So for me to wave my fingers or for you to pick up a cup of coffee is going to take several, if not dozens, of motor units because every muscle or motor neuron is only connected to several muscle fibers. So it takes way more than one motor unit to move your hand, for example. But the heart, because of how it's electrically connected together with these intercalated discs, it only takes one electrical signal from your pacemaker cells to cause the entire heart to contract. So that's another very special feature about cardiac muscle that we'll cover more when we get to the heart. All right, so let's just to review. So here we have on top the skeletal muscle, voluntary, multiple nuclei per single muscle fiber. and it is striated or banded. Here in the middle, smooth muscle, involuntary, single nucleus. It's the only one that's non-striated. And then here we have the cardiac muscle, involuntary again, single nucleus, but a striated or banded appearance. Those are the three types of muscle tissue. Go get your Learn On.